Hello everyone and welcome to the day 15 of Python series. In today's session, we'll be discussing about Python career roadmap. So let's see the agenda for the session. First, we'll be talking about the importance of Python. Then we'll be discussing about career options in Python which will include salary, job description, etc. So that's all with the agenda. Now let's start the session. But before we begin the session, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you'll never miss any update from us.
So what is Python? A lot of you would have heard about let's learn Python, let's go around with Python, and every person who enrolls in some engineering college learns about some programming language. And in today's world, Python is the most heavily taught programming language in the world. So Python is basically an object-oriented, high-level programming language with integrated dynamics semantics which is primarily used for web as well as application development. So if you are someone who is looking for web development or application development, you are looking at Python. Apart from all of this, Python is heavily used in the fields of data science, and it is heavily used for training your machine learning algorithms. You would have heard a lot of people use Jupyter notebooks, and these basically use Python on their base, and they use these programming languages for a lot of different libraries are there for visualization purposes, for as well as when you're talking about machine learning and AI algorithms, and if you look for data science jobs as well. So if you're looking for a data science job, the two programming languages that they primarily ask is excellence in machine learning and Python using Python, machine learning and AI using Python, and the other would be R. So if you are someone who is looking into going into data science, Python is something which will be expected out of you almost in every job. R will be 9 out of 10 maybe, but Python will be 10 on 10 on every job description that you see with respect to data science, because it is very heavily used. Basically, that is what about the Python is. So if you want to learn what is object oriented programming language, you can ask for a link in the description, and my team will be happy to assist you with tutorials which will lead you to what Python is. And let's move along and talk about where it all began. So Python has been in existence since 1980s, but in today's 21st century, it has actually gained the popularity that it has. And this the guy you are seeing on the screen is he is the one who created Python. And Python is very much famous across the world because it is very easy to understand. So if you talk about any other programming language for that matter, if we look at the picture when we talk about C++ or JavaScript, so there is a lot of jargon that you have to learn. You have to learn about a lot of different kinds of programming basics in order to start working with them as well. So if you think about a print statement in Java, it will be like system.out.println, so which is a long sentence. It is again a language, but you have to learn a lot of different jargon. But Python is something which is very easy to understand, because if someone gives you a program right now, and if you have no background in Python whatsoever or any programming language whatsoever, the way it looks is so simple and very easy to understand that anyone can decode what is going on inside of that code. And uh, and it has a very huge user base which creates n number of libraries. There is so much information which is out there in Python that you can just import and work with, that it makes it so much easier to work. And that's why a lot of different companies and different people are adapting Python right now. Moving along, let's look at some fun facts with respect to Python. So you must have heard me say a lot of times that Python is so popular, Python is doing so well. These are some facts to back it up. So as you can see, the Firefox has over 230k lines of code which is written in Python. So the program or the application that you see in my Mozilla Firefox, it has around 230k, which is 230,000 lines of code which is written in Python. And another big company, which is Microsoft, promotes Python development with its IDE, Visual Studio Code. And then there is Netflix. Now Netflix, everybody knows, has very good recommendation system. So in which if you are watching, let's say, one show, it is very likely the next show that it says that it is recommended for you, it's more than likely that you will like it, and the match percentage is also off the charts. So and they use this, they do this through this technology which is called as data science, and that data science is implemented through this programming language, which is Python. So all of the inputs that the data scientists bring out, it's generally done with the help of Python in Netflix, and across various companies also Python is used heavily for data science. And other than that, we have Uber, which says that they use Jupyter notebook and IPython to share the data that they have. So that is about some fun facts about the big companies using it. And if you go across the pattern and you see various different companies which are working out there, you would see Python being used across almost all the companies. They'll be using it in some capacity. Either they are using it in data science, or they're using it for some programming, or have written some backend in Django, which is for web development purposes as well. So it is something which is very heavily used across the board for different kinds of things. That is why Python is so much in demand right now. So if you learn Python, you not only open yourself to the opportunities of, let's say, data science, ML, and AI, but you also open lines for web development as well if you learn Django, which is another framework written in Python. And similarly, if you go along the ways, the Python has a lot of different career opportunities in itself if you just learn Python. So let's move along and talk about the different features of Python which makes it so interesting. So first and foremost, which goes for any programming language, I myself, when I was going through my engineering degree, the first language they taught me was Python, and this was common across for all the different graduates which we had at our college. So it was common for everybody. So either if you are learning mechanical, and if you are in civil, everybody goes through different courses that you have to take, right? Some of these CSE students have to learn engineering design, and similarly, if you are learning, if you are in any engineering college, most of them, they teach you one programming language in the first semester, because the first semester is generally common for everybody. And in that, most of the colleges are now adopting Python because it is very much in use in the world right now. It is fairly easy to learn and use, so that is very important. So it is very easy to learn and use. So if even if you are from let's say not someone who is in the background from computer science, it is still very easy to learn Python in the beginning stages. And as you move along in your career, you'll be needing to learn a lot of different tips, tricks, data structures, a lot of algorithms, and a lot of different things. So that is something that will bring value to your resume, because Python is very easy to learn. Everybody will be able to learn that. But once you cross that threshold where you understand Python and you actually start to develop things, that is somewhere you will put a value on your resume. So one of the most important features of Python, that is that it is very easy to learn, very easy to use. So it is extensively used across the board, and you will find a huge community which is out there for Python because of this, because it was so easy to learn. People got very interested in it, and they built up a lot of different things. Second, it's free and open source. So it has free and open source. Basically, you don't have to pay anything to learn it. You can download it whenever, wherever you want, and you can start writing your programs to do different things. You can learn with the basics of programming and build your own infrastructure for your website, write Django codes, and learn different or even contribute to the community by writing some library. And you have a huge community base which is there for Python, and you can contribute in there, and you can put those stuff in your resume as well. So talking about the libraries, we have the next point, which is vast amount of libraries. There is so many libraries in Python that it's very difficult to even explain how much easy it is to use Python. And let alone with the help of these libraries, you don't have to do those complex programming as well. You just call different libraries, and you can use the functionality then and there directly. So that is what something will help you ease out the work which is there with respect to Python. So it becomes easier for you to use. So you don't have to, let's say, write everything from scratch. You can just call in different libraries and just work along with producing what is intended, right? And the final thing is object oriented language. So if you talk about it, C++ and other languages are also object oriented, and this is something which is very popular in the 21st century. If you have someone who do not, most of the programming which is done in today's world is basically done with the help of following the OOPS concepts, this object oriented programming language concepts. And this is something which is very popular across the board. So the point we are mentioning right here is that it is not much different from the other programming languages in the terms that you will be structuring your code, but it is very easy to understand and easy to work with. That is why we prefer Python over any programming languages for people who are just starting, and also for people who are looking into going deep into the careers where they want to land jobs in data science and etc. Then you're looking to learn Python as the first step, because that is where things begin, because every company which you will be applying for as a data scientist will demand Python. Okay, yeah, we've got that in the bag. Let's move along and talk about why you should learn Python. So basically, three simple facts are out there. First is that it is ranked third in the index of the popularity for programming languages. It is ranked third, and it tops the list given by IEEE Spectrum as the number one language to learn. So in terms of popularity, as in the number of people who are using different programming languages, and there are a lot of programming languages with different company uses. So there are different companies who have created their own programming languages as well. So a lot of people work on those programming languages. Like there's a programming language called ABAP, which is for SAP, where they do business-based programming, and then there is programming language called Apex for Salesforce. Then there is C++, C, Java, C hash, and a lot of different languages which are out there. Among those, it ranks third in the popularity of languages which is being used, and it ranks number one in the language that you should learn. So since it is very easy to learn, very easy to interact with, so easy to use, that's why it tops the list for being the number one language that you should learn in order to begin your path in the programming field, if you will. And again, coming back to the point, the preferred domains like the data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, all inside of Python. And if you talk about it, even the web development, a lot of companies use Django for writing their backend. There also Python, that is a Python library which is again being used. Python there will also help you with that. So why we mention something data science again and again and again is, if you go about by the words of Harvard Business Review, which is given by Harvard, which is extremely prestigious university. They claim that the data science is the sexiest job of the 21st century. It is the most highest paying job for people who are in the IT sector. So who are doing technical programming, data science is the field which will fetch you the most amount of money, and it has the highest average paid salary across the board, across all the different jobs that you might have. So there are business analysts, there are, let's say, program developers, there is system architects, there are a lot of different people. So in those, data scientists are the one who are paid more on an average than the others. So that is why learning Python is very important if you want to step in the field of data science. Okay, let's move along and talk about the different companies that you will be hiring. So if you see these companies on the screen right now: Facebook, Google, NASA, Quora, Amazon, Reddit, Instagram, Dropbox, Netflix is somewhere, it's an extremely good company if you are interested in data science. They do not pick anyone very easily, because Netflix, again, the data science department is crazy good in there. So these are the dream companies of almost every programmer who is out there. They want to work for the tech giants like Google, Facebook, or Netflix. And going for these if you want to land a job in these places, Python is like a staple that you must have at the back of your hand if you want to apply to these companies. And
If you want to make a career in data science, then Intellipaat has IIT Madras Advanced Data Science and AI Certification Program. This course is of very high quality and cost effective, as it is taught by IIT professors and industry experts.
and be there as may be as a very good developer for them. Then if you're looking along those lines, you must learn Python if you're looking at any of these companies, or NASA for that matter, because NASA again uses a lot of data science, and for that Python is very important. So with that, let's move along, talk about how you should go about your journey of learning Python, right? So there will be different stages. So the first stage would be where you are Jon Snow and you know nothing, and at that stage it's fine. And then you start off with a few basic concepts. You learn about a few different things here and there, and then you become an intermediate. And once you're an intermediate, you must be dedicated enough to learn a lot of different things, and that is then and where you try to specialize across different things in Python. So as I mentioned before, there's a lot of different ways to go about in your career in Python. And once you reach the stage 2 where you have experimented with a lot of different things, a lot of different libraries, a lot of different career paths, what it looks like to get in there, once you know what is that something which excites you most. Let's say if machine learning algorithms and programming and finding out data insights is something which is that something that you like, then you're looking to go inside the field of data science. But if you are someone who is very good at writing Django backend, then you are looking at someone who wants to go ahead and learn that with respect to that, and then you can go ahead and follow your passion in there. So whatever works for you, you can go there. Or for that matter, let's say if you start learning Python and you realize that there is some other way that you should go about in your career, then also I would say that Python is a very good place to enter this field. So if you want to learn basic programming concepts, and if you want to understand how programming is done, Python is a good step to get inside of it, learn various concepts, various data structures, learn various algorithms through Python. And then if you feel like, okay, maybe I'd be someone who is better at working with, let's say, some BI tools like Salesforce, or if I'm someone who should pursue some other paths, which will probably have some tool usage or something like that, or some other programming language for that matter. Having those concepts in the bag by learning Python, because it is very easy to learn, having those OOPS concept in the bag will help you learn any other language also very quickly, because you understand how programming is being done, right? So that is about this developers map. So how we go about in steps would be like to decide first and foremost, why do you want to learn Python? A lot of people have this aspiration that they want to get inside of computer science and they want to do programming, they want to do a lot of different things. So decide why you want to learn Python. If it's just a time pass for you, is it something that you want to just finish your semester with, or is it something that you want to use to build a great career? So if you're looking to learn a great career, then you want to learn inside and learn various different concepts which are in there. So a lot of different basic programming things that you need to understand will be in there, which you have to start with. Once you have that, so now you know that, okay, I want to learn Python for, let's say, data science, right? Or I want to learn Python for learning Django. Then in those scenarios, you need to understand that you must have great material to study with. And what I mean by a great material is that something that starts from very basic. So a lot of different things like if else concepts and different concepts like which will be there, which you want to understand inside of Python, and you have to work with those Pythons like dictionaries and lists and or whatever. So these concepts you have to get in the bag and first and foremost, and then you can maybe branch out of there. So find good material to study with, where you can understand how Python works, how programming works, how you write and structure the code is very important. And from there we move on and enroll in an online training program for Python. So while learning, if you understand that, okay, I'm doing good now, it's time for me to step up my game. I want to do use Python into something where it is more useful. So enroll in some online Python certification course, or any other certification course that you find which aligns with some kind of certification. Just enroll in there and learn Python in and out, because doing these will give you the hands-on practice problems and different things which will enable you to learn algorithms and different data science. And once you have that in the bag, read the official Python documentation. And this step is only recommended like if you are very interested in Python and you want to go get deep inside of it, then you need to learn about the official documentation. You can go ahead and understand what the company is doing, sorry, what the programming language is doing, and you can get into the depth of things in there and understand how things are working. From there, what I want you to do is, once you have Python in the bag, let's say you have an online training program, or if you have just aced Python in the bag, so you have Python in the bag, you understand how Python works. Uh, I'm gonna tell you honestly, just learning Python will not be enough if you want to have a very lucrative career. Then you have to learn about various different libraries inside of Python. You have to get this is somewhere you have to grind and you have to learn about the various different things. And for this you can enroll into various different data science courses or machine learning courses and AI courses, and find out different libraries which are there inside of Python, like Django and etc. You should branch out and explore whatever different libraries are out there across different fields, which and find the thing that interests you the most, right? So there's a lot of different fields out there, again, as I mentioned before, in Python itself. From there you need to branch out and find out what is your passion, something doing what kind of programming makes you the happiest. So branch out from there and learn about these different libraries which are out there. And if you have let's say semi programming languages, then look into the I say this again and again, watching and learning through Python, you need to look at different source codes which are available out there. So there's a lot of free open source materials, free open source programming programs which are out there present with their source code for Python programs. Just look into it, what people are doing, how people are programming, learn about it, and think about your own project problems, and then solve those projects through, let's say, it might be an artificial intelligence project where you recognize a guy's eye opening or closing, or if you want to recognize if that is an apple or an orange, it could be anything. So you just start learning through these different things and writing Python programs for them, and just find out what your passion is. And looking through the programming of different people will help you understand what is the industry standard, and how clever people can be when they want to write codes. So there are people who are extremely clever at writing code. Their code will be very efficient. By efficient I mean two, three different things. I mean that their big O of n, which is with respect to the time complexity. So what is the time complexity that their code is taking? So the code will not take that much of a time. And then like let's say if you want to do one simple thing of, let's say, going across and reading different elements in array and finding a match, you can do it in different ways, right? So even if I write, I can do it in various different kinds of ways. Some ways will require more time than the others, and finding that way which will take the least amount of time, and being that clever, being that cheeky, you get that when you see a lot of different kinds of codes the people have written, and you get a zest of different things, and then you start applying it yourself. So for that, it's very important that you explore different source codes which are present out there, so that you get a zest of things, right? So for that, that is there. So next point is, what makes a good Python developer? Again, any good Python developer or any good C++ developer or any good developer for that matter will have this same skill set. They will be the people who are excellent at problem solving. These people are excellent at problem solving, and this, you're not someone who has to be it's like not a god-given talent like problem solving. You get problem solving through practice. So you see n number of problems and you understand that n number of solutions. So you see, let's say, n plus one problem, you have now n plus solutions that you can combine or mismatch and find out, okay, this might belong to this kind of problem and this is how it is being solved. So having that knack will only come from let's say a lot of practice, a lot of work on it, and a lot of seeing a lot of different problems. So having that problem solving mindset is very important. Then if you have then there is a lot of people who have n number of solutions, right? So they see a problem, they have the solution, but having strong technical skills to implement that solutions in a very efficient manner is a whole new department, right? Even in computer science department, you'll see a lot of different people who are very good at problem solving, but they do not have that technical skills, or they do not have the knowledge about how it can be done in the most efficient way, and that's why their code maybe does not perform up to the level of their solution that they thought of. So implementing that solution to the level of the solution that you thought of is also very important when it comes to programming, and having strong technical skills can help you with that. Then you have to have good communication skills. This goes across every job description which you find out, that strong communication skills is very important. That's why it's very important that you communicate across the board, because you may have a lot of good ideas, but you need to communicate that across the people, what you have done, what you are doing, and how it is better from the previous version. That has to be communicated, and that comes through strong communication skills. And finally, there is this eagerness to learn. So it goes without saying that, as I mentioned before, a lot of people learn Python and then they have to branch out, because there's so many libraries that you have to learn. And if you don't have the eagerness to learn these different libraries, then I'd say it's not worth it for you. So if you have that eagerness to learn, and if you have that knack for programming, and if you have that satisfaction of seeing your code run properly, then it is something that you should consider building your career in. Now, what next? So let's say we are at a stage now where we have, let's say, done the Python course. We understand Python, we have a Python certification as well, and I started seeing it across various different libraries. I know, let's say, 5-10 libraries by now. So what should I do now? The next step would be do as many projects as you can. So the only thing that will help your resume, apart from certifications or publications or a good work experience, is your projects, especially for people who are freshers. Any job interview that you go, you will be grilled on the projects that you have done, and do as many good projects as you can, because these projects basically, why, if you ask yourself, why would many interviewer ask you about your projects if you have done it? So having a project basically gives them a problem statement, and how you solve that using your programming language is a great solution, and it gives an insight of how much depth you have in the understanding of the programming language, and how good your problem solving skills is. So it gives you both of that in the same place, and they can grill you about the technical aspect of things, so that they can understand uh, how much depth you have in the programming language fundamentals. And some of the good projects to start with is here mentioned on my screen. So if you're interested, you can go for Twitter sentiment analysis using Python, Then there is a hangman game. There's You can make a lot of different kinds of game. You can make the snake game and different games which are out there, which you can start as mini projects. But as you move along and learn different libraries, you make more complex projects, make more better projects, which will basically help you enhance your resume and land you those better jobs tomorrow.
If you want to make a career in data science, then Intellipaat has IIT Madras Advanced Data Science and AI Certification Program. This course is of very high quality and cost effective, as it is taught by IIT professors and industry experts.